Welcome in week 7 edition of the Cash Process. I'm your host, Ben Hosser. We are joined by Anthony Carson, the CEO himself this week. Here to recap week 6, preview week 7. Anthony and I both had a really good week 6, so I'm excited for this week. Anthony, you haven't been on the pod for a minute, so how you doing? How are things going over there?
Good, man. Just living the dream best I can. No, I was telling you before the pod. It's obviously my weekends, my life's different right now with the 2-year-old running around in the terror stage. So, happy I could get on this week. I think I've only been on 1 or 2 so far this year. I'm gonna try to get more consistent here the second half of the year and keep going. Right. I mean, I even a couple of weeks I didn't feel comfortable even really playing cash games because I didn't get enough research time in. I was kind of just playing 3 max entry stuff, running the optimizer for 20 to 50 lineups as well. But I'm kind of right now back in the groove of my main cash lineup and 3 or 4 GPPs. And again, if I have time certain weeks, running our optimizer and kind of just letting the simulations do the work for me and kind of changing some of the ownership stuff and kind of going from there. But it's been good, man, all around.
Yeah, I can't complain either. Finally got a good tournament week last week. Fell just short of King of the Beach ticket. Missed it by 3 points, but overall had a really good week.
Let's be real, Ben. We were tilting.
So I'm excited for this week. This looks like a really weird slate. I was tilting, but at the same time, I asked for a big cup game and I got it. So
you did.
Like I can't be mad about that. But as I said prior to starting the video, Anthony, it's like it's so hard to get yourself in that position. So when you do, it just comes down to a few plays, and it's so tilting when it doesn't break your way at that.
If you guys aren't already in our Discord, I mean, Ben and I had huge sweats going. You can hop over www, the good old W's, dfskarma.com, or check out our stuff at betkarma.com. But honestly, all of us were chatting in Discord. Ben ended up in second place, which is the biggest kick in the balls ever in the King of the Beach. I mean, you really can't get any closer. Like you said, you had Ritter at like 3 or 4%, and he had the ball late a couple of times. I mean, you were right there, man. And same here, obviously. I still had a huge win for like $30,000, but at the end of the day, I had a chance at something much bigger, but I had a couple injuries with Jimmy G in my lineup, and that affected Jacoby Myers. Was not just getting the rock from Hoyer, but dude, by the way, your boy Myers from the previous week that you guys won all that money with, he was like 7% owned. I didn't see that coming. Like, I don't know. Maybe the slate just, he fell in that range with Chris Kirk. And again, I think it's why it's important to hop over into our Discord if you're not already a subscriber. But we're talking about these things. Ben's writing about it in content. And some things I like to do, making these, 3 max entry type GPPs is just playing a guy that's not as chalk. I knew Kirk was mega chalk. I remember thinking nobody's going to play Jimmy because nobody ever does. But that was the main crux of my lineup to get a little different. The rest of my lineup was kind of chalky, I think, to be honest. Like, it wasn't anything insane. But, yeah, it was a great weekend of cash. And looking forward to hopefully getting back at it this week, Ben. Even though I'm looking at Bet Karma now, the live trends page, all I see is red, Ben. Everything's in red. I mean, the scores for these games, it's going to be bad. I mean, KC and Chargers are on here, but,
Yeah, so I do want to note that last reminder here on this, the lineup I was sweating was one of my core plays, so we had some other people in the Discord sweating it as well. So like Anthony said, you can go over to the website, dfskarma.com/pricing. If you want access, you could have been in there. We could have all been sweating that in our tournaments together. But yeah, we can segue that to this week 7 slate. Like you just said, it's going to be weird. So it's only 10 games. The bye weeks here are in full swing. And looking at the totals, yeah, it's not good. So we have Falcon. So we have a 38.5, 39.5, 39.5, 41.5, 37.5, 42, 44, 43. There's 2 games over 44 on the main slate, or three of them. And yeah, I mean, Chiefs Chargers at 48.5 is the high mark for the slate. The best game of the week is Eagles Dolphins. It's not on the main slate. And then we also have San Fran, Minnesota on Monday night, so that's not on the main slate either. So a lot of big teams are off the main slate this week, a lot of low totals. It's going to be a weird slate. Macro level take for me, don't really love like what I've just seen from the Chiefs offense this season. You know, they've kind of been just struggling along. Mahomes really doesn't have anybody to throw to other than Kelsey and Rice, who sometimes Rice, I think, is their best receiver, but sometimes they play him like half the game. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then on the other side, the Chargers defense is healthy. They have Austin Eckler back, so they've always played slower, I feel like, when Austin Eckler is active. So if that's going to be like the chalk game, Anthony, me personally, just my first take of the week, if that's going to be like the chalk game that everyone plays, I'm just like, nah, I'm just not going to play it. And I'll look elsewhere. I'll have some exposure there. But if that's just going to be the chalky game stack, I'm fine and hoping that it comes in under. You know, it's still a divisional game. These teams know each other. I'll pass there, and I'm going to look at some of these other games, I think.
Well, that also, and it's like, let's be real, there's not great fantasy players with the Chiefs. It's the weirdest thing ever. I mean, besides Kelsey and, I mean, even Mahomes if you're paying up, but I'm not even really worried about it. You know, Chargers, we know what we're getting if Allen. I haven't even looked at pricing. I'm going to look on the show with you live, Ben, with Allen. I mean, he's obviously, I feel like, a lock literally every single week in cash games as long as he's on the slate. I mean, I feel like this is just so redundant year after year. If Keenan Allen's in that 7K range, which is what I'm guessing he probably is, he's probably, again, when we get to wide receiver, a lock type play. Oh, gosh, he's 86 this week? There you go. That's a little steeper.
Yeah, everyone. So the guys that you would want to play in this game are crazy expensive.
Wow.
Also, like Keenan Allen, 86. Okay. Eckler's at 86. It's a little weird. I don't know.
So, you know, and again, my quick thoughts, macro level, real quick before we get into quarterback, because I know that you DFS junkies want to get position by position. I get it. Again, this slate's disgusting. I'll talk about the Browns. I know, guys. I know you want to hear it. The Browns are in a dome. I'm eyeing that game up, and by the way, I'm eyeing that game up because guess what? I believe it's the only game in a dome this week, and it's a disgusting week. And there is a chance Deshaun plays. Just FYI, we'll come back to that. The Raiders and Bears are disgusting, but there could be some fantasy things in there. Again, we'll talk about them. I mean, obviously, the Bills are going to maybe go a little overlooked this week because of their disgusting performance on Monday night. But if there's one thing I've known about Ben and his content over time, I can already see the cover boy this week is Josh Allen. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's a Ben play this week. And yeah, I mean, whatever, Diggs, Allen. And then other than that, I love the Seahawks this week, even though that's a division game. I'm assuming it's going to be popular. But again, I absolutely love that game in general. And the Rams should be popular because the Steelers can't stop the pass, Ben. And again, we'll get to that. But why don't we start quarterback position and go through our normal breakdown right now? This year, again, has gone back to old times. Like, I feel like we are paying down, Ben, generally, if we can. So is that what you're looking at this week again?
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, it was 2 weeks ago. Patrick Mahomes was like the highest owned quarterback in cash games when they played Minnesota, and I played Jalen Hurts over him. And once again, I just don't like if Mahomes is going to be chalk, like, I don't know. I'm probably just not going to play him. I mean, he's the most expensive quarterback on the slate. He basically has to throw for 300 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns for you to even feel remotely good about it. He does. Sometimes he adds stuff with his legs, but it's not to the extent that, you know, you would think in terms of him getting like a rushing touchdown or something like that. So I don't know. Josh Allen and Lamar would be my picks if I was looking to spend up one of those two guys. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We might be going down again. I don't know. I played Stafford last week. He's way more expensive this week though. I mean, he was 6,100 last week. He's 65 now. So that's getting to the range where I already kind of felt gross about him last week. So don't think I'll consider him again. But I don't know. Who do you want to play? I don't know about any of these guys, man. I do want to bring up if Fields misses. I mean, this is just truly disgusting.
No.
This is so disgusting. But our boy Tyson Bagent is 4,900. They play the Raiders. I don't know. This guy, I'm sure you don't know anything about Tyson Bagent, but he can run a little bit.
Never heard.
He can run a little bit.
Never heard of him.
He can run a little bit. 4,900, Anthony. Are you interested in Tyson? Can I sell you some Tyson Magic?
I would if it was 4,000. Because at times I feel like we've gotten that stuff at 4,000. You know, like, I mean, my God, Mac Jones is 4,900. I mean, Jesus. PJ Walker. See, I would consider like a PJ Walker this week even if he's playing at 4,800 over him. I just, again, dome game. Historically, I like just going that direction. But I'll tell you what, Ben, before we go to running back, I think the breakdown is going to be simple. Unfortunately, when we get to running back, I mean, Ben will take the baton there. That's why last week, I didn't like cash games at all last week, but I played a couple extra tournaments because I knew the way cash games were structured was such because of those cheap running backs, Deontay Foreman, Chuba Hubbard. Whether you played both of them, Ben, I don't know what you did or didn't do. I played both of them. I thought that was the right move. I feel like we're getting in a situation like that this week. Whether I think that's the right move or not is irrelevant.
Wait, hold on. Wait, so you played both cheap running backs last week, and I played I didn't play either of them.
That's funny.
We were complete opposite.
I did cash though for the. I'm surprised you didn't play one of them. You must have.
Yeah, I was gonna. I had a build Sunday morning with Chuba Hubbard. I was gonna play, but then I don't know.
You must have cashed, right? Because it's not like
went with my other build. So
did you cash with that?
Yeah, I didn't get like I won like 52% of my head-to-heads, and literally half my double ups I cashed, and the other half I was like the one team out that didn't. I don't know. It was a super weird week.
Dude, I'll tell you what. I don't know how I cashed. And that's what ultimately led the decision for me was even though Trevor Lawrence sucked balls last week, he actually ironically still and I barely cashed. I mean, I must have cashed in my 50-50s by like 3 points when I look back at it. And I think it's because I kept debating going down to Minshew, but I had this extra money because I did want to pay down at running back. It's just something that I've done, I think, whenever we've been in these situations, only in cash games. I didn't like it in tournaments, which I'll get to later. So anyways, I kept toying with this lineup. I didn't even like my Lawrence lineup. It was like my least liked cash game lineup I've ever built, but I had the salary saving. And again, this week, I can tell you right now, I'm paying down at running back, even though I don't know much about Zach Moss. Maybe I don't know the situation, and even with the other guy that you'll talk about. Historically, that's what I'll do. So I can see myself probably, Ben, just the way this week's constructed, like I'll probably have enough cash for a Josh Allen, a Lamar, one of those guys. Not that I think it's optimal. Like I do think I love Geno this week. I mean, I'm assuming he won't be that popular in cash games, but I'm saying I like to pay down. Like that's somebody that is sticking out to me right now.
Yeah. So before we move on, 2 quarterback takes for me. I haven't looked at projections yet. Normally, I've been doing this video Tuesday night, so I have a clear first round of projections. I haven't really looked at any yet, but I will say I do think if it currently stands how the slate is, I do agree that we'll have money because of some of these running backs. But I could see Geno Smith being popular. He's 6K at home against Arizona. Definitely, I'm even if he's not, I'm interested there for sure. But I'm gonna give you a disgusting play that if I had to enter a cash lineup right now,
bro, you know you can't.
I think I would put him in it, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Can you guess?
I'll guess.
It's not who you think, but he's between 5 and 6K.
Yeah, it's probably bigger, no?
No, it's Daniel. If Daniel Jones is healthy, sign me up.
Is that a home game? Is he playing?
They're at home. So Washington has.
I do like that.
They are like the worst secondary I've ever seen. We just talked about it. I played Desmond Ridder against them last week, and he did.
What was
it good? If Daniel Jones is healthy, which it sounds like he is, at home, 5,600. You know he can run a little bit. Sign me up for some Daniel Jones this week.
I never watch Sunday Night Football because I just need my sleep at this point in my life. I'm old. I'm washed. I watched that whole game, and I really didn't even have much on it or anything, but I was just so intrigued at how the Giants were so pathetically bad on the goal line. How could they not score? So anyways, to your point, I actually kind of like that. It's just freaking regression. They haven't scored in 3 games at the home game. I mean, yes, if Daniel Jones is back, and the Commanders do kind of speed things up. I feel like any game the Commanders are in, somehow there's a lot of points.
Commanders play fast, and their defense is horrible in the secondary. So maybe one time we go with the Daniel Jones.
And it's funny. I know we're talking a lot right now out the gate, but I feel like every year I think the Commanders' D is so good, and I like still always think they're so good, and it's only because of Chase Young. I mean, I swear to God, he's the only reason I think they're amazing. But yeah, that's a good call. I like that. That's very interesting in tournaments. Let's go to running back. But yeah, that kind of like what I was alluding to earlier. Like I secretly love weeks like this where, you know, Ben, you can talk about these cheap running backs that probably are going to be very chalky. Like some of your tournament builds, it's like the easiest fade ever. Like you don't need to play these guys in all of your lineups. Like, and your lineup just gets so different, and they're so heavily owned that in tournaments, all it takes is a couple of lucky freaking, you know, few percent owned guys. Like Jacoby Myers was somehow only 7% last week. He didn't go off, but like, I don't know, like worked, right? And like I had Ramondre Stevenson. I always like to play a little mini game stack. He was like 4% owned. It worked last week. So anyways, Ben, that being said, I don't know if you want to start with some of these really chalky guys or start up top, but where are you looking at running back?
Yeah, so, okay, we'll just get it out of the way. Obviously, we have the Rams situation. So Kyron Williams looks likely to miss this game. His backup, Ronnie Rivers, also is going to be out for this game. So that gives us Evans. Let me pull up the Rams here. Zach Evans. They also have Royce Freeman, and then I saw today they brought in to the practice squad our old friend Darrell Henderson back. So we'll see what goes on with the Rams stuff. Evans came in after. Obviously, I don't think Freeman was even active last week, but Evans came in after Williams got hurt to take the last few handoffs when they were icing the clock last week. He's 4K. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a thing by the time we get to the weekend. We also have David Montgomery, who kind of sounds like he's going to miss this game. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, will be back this week. He's at 6,300. If for some reason, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this, but if for some reason they both were out, then, we have like the Craig Reynolds thing down here at 4,900 as well.
Okay.
So we'll start off with those two. The Ram stuff, I just don't know. I guess we'll see like later in the week, like what's going to go on with that. But starting at the top, Eckler, I mean, he was back to a full run last night, looked really, really good. Saquon Barkley looked really good on Sunday Night Football, came right back and had almost 30 touches in that game, 24 rush attempts, 5 targets. So he's back to a full go. You obviously have Josh Jacobs there against a terrible Chicago Bears defense. That's kind of the three guys at the top. I can't play Bijan and Cash just because he just doesn't get enough touches. Like look at Josh Jacobs and Bijan Robinson, the same price, and Jacobs is getting like literally 50% more work than him. So those are the kind of the guys at the top. I don't really know if I'll be interested in them. I probably really want to play Cooper Kupp here, which we'll talk about a receiver. But I don't know. Do you like any of those guys at the top of running back? I think they're fine plays, but I don't know if I'll prioritize any of them.
I know you or I, probably me, may not have the best connection. The only guy I didn't think I hear you say, which I freaking love this week, is Josh Jacobs. Like, I feel like it's a lock button scenario, especially with potentially quarterback issues there. I mean, Jimmy G's not going to play, right? Or is he? I don't know. What are your thoughts on Jacobs, man? Like, I felt like Jacobs is just like lock button in cash games.
Yeah, I said him versus Bijan. I mean, Bijan is getting literally like 50% less work than Josh Jacobs. So pretty easy click to take him. Sounds like Jimmy may miss. So you would assume they're going to run the ball more if that's the case, yes.
Of course, that's classic. I had to have my phone go off.
Hey, the phone went off when we're talking about Josh Jacobs, so maybe that's a good sign.
That is a good sign. And plus, last week, the Raiders, I was so close with them, Ben. You know what's interesting? I don't want to beat on the same guys you talked about. Eckler, 8,600. Like, normally I'd look at that and be like, man, that's too expensive. Like just kind of like weighing out the positive and negatives. But again, if we are paying down for one running back at least, it might be super cheap. Then sometimes, like, I like to think about it as like the combined cost. If we are paying for a $4,000 running back, that's really only 12,600. It's, when you add in Eckler, and we know Eckler is like guaranteed to always hit his floor. And in cash games, that's sometimes all we need. So I do weigh these things. Like, I approach each week different. And if I am paying for a 4K running back, I don't personally like Eckler's price tag. That's just me this week. That's how I feel. I don't like that price tag at all. But I might do it if I'm paying for 4K running back. The one thing you said, Ben, that I don't like at all is Sean McVay bringing in Darrell Henderson. That is scaring me now. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. You know that dude can come off the street and get like 10 carries.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have no idea if he'll be active or what, but I mean, yes, I do agree.
Besides that,
for sure.
Another guy that I'm always looking at is Rachaad White, 5,100. And then the Chicago Bears situation, you know, if Roshan's back, I don't know. That's an interesting situation to monitor. It's for the same reasons I kind of attacked Las Vegas last week with Stevenson in that one tournament roster. But, I mean, other than that, you've mentioned everything else.
Yeah, Rachaad White's interesting for sure. Pacheco a little bit, but Pacheco's normally not someone I like to play in cash, but he has had a better role this season in terms of like pass catching, and I'm a fan of him anyways. So maybe that's a way to get some Chiefs exposure at 6,100.
I ain't playing Pacheco. No way. Not in cash.
That's about it, though. Yeah, I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I'd have to think about it, but that's about it. I don't know. Running back. Kenneth Walker, we have to mention. He's coming off. People thought Charbonnet was taken over. He's coming off season best usage, Kenneth Walker, at home against Arizona, bad defense. He has ran hot with touchdowns. I mean, if you look at this, he's scored in each of his last 4. He has 6 total touchdowns in the last 4 games. He's gotten a lot of guys being down at the 1, and he plunges it in. So he's gotten lucky, but the role's good, big home favorite. So definitely interested in Kenneth Walker at 7K.
Well, that would have been cool because I put a pretty nice prop wager on him last week, and he came at like 2 yards short. So a little salty at that. All right.
Unbelievable.
Wide receiver, Ben. Start with our boy.
All right, let's go to receiver. Yeah.
Get Cooper Kupp a crown for us, though. I mean, come on. At least he's like, you and I just made so much money off this guy. I don't know.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp is the best. He's back to full Cooper Kupp. He looks as good as he always has. Definitely would love to get up to him at 9,500. Steph Diggs is interesting as well here. So New England has been very banged up in the secondary this season, and Steph Diggs is in the middle of a career year. I mean, you look at this usage from him, 12 targets, 7, 11, 16 on Sunday Night Football last week. He's gone over 100 yards in each of his last 4 games. Really, really good usage for Diggs this season. Sneaky matchup against New England, who's been really banged up in the secondary. Keenan Allen is fine at 86, but I don't know, man. I don't think I can click Keenan over Devontae. I guess Devontae maybe takes a hit if Jimmy G doesn't play. But I don't know if I can click Keenan over these guys at this price. I mean, Eckler being back does negatively affect Keenan Allen.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have been so good defensively. I mean, It's another thing. I don't know. I'm with you. I think that's a great kind of way to frame things there.
People also will overrate Garoppolo being out. I brought this up a couple times, but late last season when Derek Carr was not playing, there was a game where Stidham started for the Raiders, and Devontae Adams still went for 150 yards.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns. I don't think it matters if Brian Hoyer's at quarterback or not.
You went over a lot of the guys up top. Obviously, I mentioned the Seattle guys. They're never owned. That's why it's just an amazing tournament play, just stacking either DK solo or DK with Lockett, or at one point in time, Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to get loose. He's one of these slates, he's going to have the fire emojis next to him. So I guess you got to kind of guess right. That's more tournament roster. I don't know, man. Middle of the pack. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are. Marquise Brown, I feel like I'm always looking at him. I never click the button. I don't know. I feel like he is a great cash game player in theory.
Hollywood Brown for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so dude, I don't know. I don't think, obviously you said you were busy, so you weren't watching the game a lot, but 4 catches on 11 targets last week. He should have had, I'm not lying, probably 35 DraftKings points. He had 2 long touchdowns that just, they just didn't connect on it, where he was open. He could have easily went for 35 last week.
Dobbs is starting to fall apart, man. I played him in cash a couple weeks ago. You were laughing at me. I did cash with that lineup, though. middle guy.
Terry McLaurin, I think, is interesting.
Yeah, his price is so cheap. I mean,
5,400 is too cheap.
Michael Thomas is always that's Thursday night. My bad. How about Kendrick Bourne to be alive? I actually brought him up in Discord when I was talking about that stack. I took him out of the stack. I don't know how it would have played out because I kind of switched that lineup and I went with Ramondre in that bring back tournament. But Kendrick Bourne to be alive is 4,400. I mean, he seems like he's like the guy with the Patriots. And honestly, Benny, I feel like he's cash playable, especially on this slate, which is disgusting. And they're going against the Bills. Like the Bills aren't going to score only 14 points like they did this past week. I mean, you would assume Kendrick Bourne to be alive is going to have to get like 10 targets this week.
Yeah. I don't hate it if Juju's out again. Really like Josh Palmer at 4,800. I'm just going to go ahead and victory lap. I don't care if it's week 7. I will victory lap my take that Quentin Johnston is just not good. All these people, Anthony, I don't know if you saw this. Everybody was betting Quentin Johnston last night. They're like, oh, coming out of the bye, we're going to get this guy going. Josh Palmer is still playing firmly ahead of Quentin Johnston. 4,800. You could sign me up for some of him. I like my boy way down here, Wan'Dale Robinson, once again, 3,800. I know he doesn't have a ceiling, but in cash games, I don't care about that. Caught all 8 targets on Sunday Night Football for 62 yards. If you told me that Wan'Dale Robinson at 3,800 was going to get me 14 DraftKings points this week, I'd play him on 100% of my teams. So completely fine with him again this week.
I love that call. Tournament, Rashid Rice seems to be getting the love. I'm assuming he's going to be like now a regular thing, knowing DFS. Like he's always going to be kind of owned because nobody knows what to do with KC besides Kelsey. I will say again, I haven't gone on my pedestal with the Browns' unbelievable win, Ben, against the Niners, which it feels like it was the Browns' turning point, not only in this season, but maybe the franchise in the last 5 years, because we've been like building towards this moment. We were down Bitonio and Watson, and the whole national media is hilarious. It's like, well, they lost CMC for a quarter and a half, right? And Deebo Samuel, like, dude, we were like down everybody, including Watson. I mean, come on now. But if Watson does play or he doesn't, again, because this slate is disgusting and this is a tournament thing before we get to tight end here, I do love the Browns. Like one of these weeks, like they're just going to go nuclear because we have not been scoring points. Like, and our ground game isn't great, right, Ben? I mean, Amari Cooper's been like low key, and I know you know this, Ben. This is not a DFS thing. He's been like balling, and he's close to having some huge games. You know that touchdown that like didn't happen against Tennessee? That was like fake news. Like, you know, the one down the sideline, the ref missed it. He's close to breaking out, like for one of those classic Cooper games. So again, tournament take. I had to do it. I'm all about that game because the Colts secondary sucks, and we keep targeting them.
Yeah, we do have the home road narrative in play for Amari Cooper, though. Not good on the road, good at home. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know, Anthony. The more I look at this, I really like McLaurin at 5,400. So I don't know if this is going to be chalky by the time we get to the weekend, but are we just stacking up the Giants with the Terry McLaurin run back? I mean, this is just the dumbest.
You know what's funny about you and I in DFS?
Slate ever.
Here's what's funny. You and I in DFS, just the Commanders, you've played so much McLaurin and in your content. Historically, the last several years, and I played like a lot of Curtis Samuel. I don't know.
I know McLaurin. He was on my team last week. That did really good. Like he came through for me.
Samuel's 4K. He always hits value. Like just that's all.
All right. Before we move to tight end, I will say real quick, Rashid Rice I think is a great play in tournaments. I would play Wan'Dale over him in cash, but at 4,700 for tournaments, I'm fine with that. I just don't. That's a little expensive for cash when I just don't know how stable the role is still. But he is a good tournament play, yes.
Jeez, Travis Kelce is $8,000 for.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna play him. So if I win or if he goes for 30, like I'm probably just gonna lose. I guess I don't know.
But the thing is, in cash games, you won't because I don't think. I mean, DFS has gotten smart. Not that many people are going to own him in cash games. So, like, even if he does, who cares, right? I mean, that's how we need to think about this week in specific. Again, I guess I could be wrong, but I don't anticipate him being more than 10 to 15% owned in cash games.
No, he won't be popular in cash. But even in tournaments at 8K, I just don't like. I'm probably just not going to.
You know who's not going to be popular this week in cash games? I feel like and I made this mistake in cash games too. I had no clue Logan Thomas was going to be so high owned. I thought I was like getting cute maybe, but he was like mega chalk and he had like a catch. So I won't be going there, Ben, in cash games. Where are you starting? Are you starting with your friend Zach Ertz, the fossil that is 3,200 that we play as well a lot? Your friend?
I hate Zach Ertz forever now. I don't know. I think
he is value though.
He's cheap.
We're going.
I think
we're gonna play him.
Man, I don't know. Can we go Kyle Pitts again? So the first few weeks I thought he didn't look healthy, but he looks fine the last 2 weeks. 11 targets 2 weeks ago, and then 4 for 40 and a touchdown this past weekend. He's still only 4K. I think you could do him. You could even go to Jonnu Smith, who's been getting a lot of looks as well from Atlanta. One of those Atlanta guys is probably fine for cash. If Kincaid, I think, was dealing with concussion stuff. If he's out, Dawson Knox at 2,900 would be a great cash game play. Michael, the Raiders finally this past weekend started playing Michael Mayer ahead of Austin Hooper. He had 6 targets, which was a career high, 5 for 75. I mean, this is one of the highest drafted tight ends this past year. He was very good at in college. So Michael Mayer at 2,700, I think you could talk me into cash games as well.
Yeah, great points. I was half serious, half joking, half serious with Zach Ertz and Logan Thomas. Like, again, we got to make pivots on the fly, at least during the season as well. Like, I think I would normally play these guys. One of them, like Ben, like 8 out of 10 slates, like even this calendar year. But I'm just done with both of them. Like, maybe in a tournament, I have no problem at all, especially like I mentioned the Seattle game stack, like maybe sprinkling in Ertz or even Trey McBride. But Ben, I don't know, man. Like, can we go back there? Logan Thomas is not going to be owned in cash games this week, but I do think he's a good play. And I feel like you and I, we've been punting for years. Now it's kind of a thing. But I also don't like where I'm going with this is I hate the pricing this week. Usually tight end is easy. I feel like tight end looks pretty hard right now out the gate. Like, I don't even really know where to go unless I'm picking one of those guys that I said is going to burn.
I'll literally probably just put the cheapest possible person in.
You mentioned Pitts. That's interesting because 4K is not breaking the bank there. So,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see by the time we get to the weekend. Finishing off at defense here, I mean, per usual, we're looking to save money. Denver, I know their defense is terrible, but at home against Jordan Love, that's probably fine. Ravens at home against Jared Goff. I know their Lions are good, but Jared Goff obviously is worse on the road than in the dome, so that's probably fine. Even Chiefs at home, I think, are fine. Chiefs defense has been really good this year, even scoring-wise. I mean, 10, 11, 5, 6, 14 at home. Any of these, they're only 2,400. And any of these cheap teams, I think, are fine.
For the 9 viewers that are left, Ben, I'm writing something down because you just struck something with me. Hold on. I got it on the notepad. Denver versus Green Bay. You and I did not mention one player from this game. I don't know how, because it's Denver and there's nothing left on defense. And I don't know, Green Bay, I feel like, yes, they've looked so bad on national TV. Like, this game's going to go under the radar now, but like they have pieces. Like, talk about a tournament, like game environment that this slate sucks. You could totally see, Ben, like that game shooting out. Nobody has any exposure to these guys. So again, for a random 3 max entry type tournament, that's actually intriguing. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, screw the cash game, but
yeah, if Aaron Jones is back, I'd be interested. Obviously, Christian Watson, you can play in tournaments any single slate. So Christian Watson probably would be my favorite play from the game.
Other than that does it, right? I mean, week 7 already? It's crazy.
Yep.
So
yeah.
You guys know the drill. DFSKarma.com, BetKarma.com. We got so much going on, especially at BetKarma. We just are grateful and appreciate you guys checking out the websites, even if it's for the free stuff. I mean, we have a lot of premium stuff as well. A lot of the AI simulations have been built in the last couple of years now. Our bettors are loving that. There's people not even in our fantasy community that are only living on that site. So it's been great to see that blossom. Do you have anything else, Ben?
Oh, good luck in week 7. Like Anthony said, I mean, me personally, if you sign up for Bet Karma, if you're still watching the video, not only do you get access to all of the tools that we built that are amazing, but you get my personal betting card every single week. And I mean, you can just get in the Discord. Anyone that's in the Discord will vouch on my behalf. I have all my records tracked. I'm up 90 units, Anthony, since January 1st betting. Yeah, and I mean, anyone that's recently signed up, they have paid off their subscription. And like I said, the members speak for themselves. They will vouch for me in the Discord if you get in there.
Good luck this week.
Yep. Good luck this week, guys, and we'll see you in week 8.